Nerd alert, dork face.
I am not a loser. I just have a bad haircut.
Kind of a major dork.
Oh, nerds.
If you're into science, tech, or unique hobbies, you're listening to the right show. On Get Nerdy With It, we interview nerds talking about their passions. This is Get Nerdy With It.
Welcome to Get Nerdy With It, episode number 42, recorded on Thursday, June 5th, 2014. I'm your host, Jennifer Ruggiero, and we have our awesome co-host. He's been gone a few weeks, but he's back tonight, Mr. Andrew Nelson. Where are you tonight, Andrew? You're in another state. You're somewhere else. I don't know where. I forgot.
Oh, no, the middle of nowhere.
Texas.
Called Wichita Falls, Texas.
That's right. Yeah. You're in the middle of Texas in a desolate area out there. Yeah.
There's really not much to do here. Actually, I'm going kind of weird. I don't have a laptop on me or any sort of tablet or computer, so I'm actually on my phone right now, so it might be a little bit choppy, but I'm making do with what I have right now.
Now, you are there for the Air Force, just so everyone knows. That's kind of why you're there, and so they sent you there, and they didn't provide you with a computer? You're just kind of there with just what you have, your phone?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a computer in my work center in the office, but it's a desktop, so I can't really take it back with me. It's really, they're really good at giving you exactly what you need and absolutely nothing more. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now.
Oh my gosh! So you're streaming your Netflix on your notes, and thank goodness at least you have a decent sized screen for all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, it's not bad. I make do. I was thinking about getting some sort of like Chromecast or some sort of hookup that I can set it up to the TV here, but no.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm going
$35.
Slow going.
Yeah, you should do it. Definitely. And also, Christopher Gagnon is back with us tonight, and I think, Chris, are you in the same town as me tonight? Are you actually in Greensboro, North Carolina, or are you somewhere else?
I'm in Greens, exciting, Jen. I don't know what.
Exciting.
I don't know what's going on with you. Yeah, I'm actually home tonight, just barely, as you know, but I did make it back from Charlotte. So yeah, I've got my feet propped up, a drink in my hand. Anything could happen.
Good deal.
Actually, that means nothing's gonna happen.
Nothing's gonna happen. Well, I thought it was exciting on your side of town. Clearly, over here, it's not quite as exciting. So. But, yeah. But somebody from a super exciting town is on the show tonight, Miss Lisa Padilla, all the way from San Francisco, where I think all of us would definitely love to live. So, hey, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jennifer. I think a lot of people do like it when they come and visit. Although having a drink in hand in North Carolina does not sound bad. I guess it is 5 o'clock. We always say it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but it's usually about 7 o'clock here when we say that. So, so the bad thing about living in this area is that weekends are kind of arbitrary. Like my weekend is like on a Tuesday and a Thursday morning. Not so much on the weekends. A lot of people work.
Oh yeah, I can see that definitely. That everyone really. It's the Saturday and Sunday thing isn't quite what it used to be.
And let me say that I feel a little bit guilty that Andrew is like working off his phone and just like working with what he has, and I'm sitting here with 3 screens, kind of complaining that one is a little slower than the other, you know.
They don't even give me 2 monitors at work. It's driving me crazy.
Oh my God! I would also support the investment in Chromecast. It will change your life. Mm-hmm. My dad didn't understand it for the longest time, and he's an electrician by trade. And I knew he would get it at some point. And when he got it, he definitely got it.
So is he using it regularly now, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? That's awesome. That is awesome. I got one for my father as well for their vacation place, this little place that they have, and as well for the home. And they never use the one in the home because they also have the Roku and some other media devices. But the one in the vacation place, they get it. They figure it out, and I'm so proud of them for doing that. You know, it's neat when. Not that he shouldn't figure it out. But it's neat when you see an older generation figure that kind of stuff out.
No, because we've all run into people who have said, I'm just not a technical person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to participate, and I'm going to die early, and I'm not going to evolve, and you're not going to change my mind. And there are just those people, So.
Yeah, I know. There are some that they're just stubborn when it comes to tech, and they're not going to try it. But with the Chromecast, it's so easy, just slinging the media from any device, and I love the mirroring, right? I know it's kind of like Apple TV-esque, but I love the mirroring. If I'm watching a web show and just mirroring it over to my Chromecast and it playing on the Chromecast instead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. Definitely. Do you have one, Chris?
No, I don't. I don't have one. It's one of those things that I love. I love the concept. I've seen it. I love it. And $35 away from it. Yeah. I just can't. When I'm there, when I'm at the store, I don't remember, and I remember like now, and I'm not gonna get up and go buy one now. So that pretty much is it. But I think it's a great device. I think it's part of the migration of technology. When Lisa talks about people who say, "Well, I'm not technical," I mean, what does that even mean anymore? That's a big part of technology migrating behind the scenes, because it's probably the most plug and play thing, really. I mean, that I've seen on that level.
Oh yeah.
It's magic.
Mm-hmm. It is. Have you cut the cord, Lisa? Are you a cord cutter?
Am I wireless? You mean, do I not have a landline? That kind of stuff.
No, I mean, in regards to cable and satellite television.
Oh, right. So we do subscribe to. We do subscribe because there are certain things that we need to have right away. Things on HBO. We use a lot of Netflix. We do the Roku. We're all over the map. But another reason we do that is because we're in the beta tester generation, and we choose to go through the frustrations and all of that, because logging into Xfinity on the TV makes me suicidal, and I can't for the life of me, I can't understand why there isn't one universal search tool that is context sensitive to wherever you are. They have to have that information. Mm-hmm. They know where you're sitting in your house, okay? So take that information and give me all the options that are available to me. Don't give me those channels that you tell me are really cool. It's like girl on girl this, and I get there and there's nothing. Because I haven't subscribed to that channel. So we're very picky though, but we I guess we get enough sex in the HBO for us.
That's funny. That's so funny. No, well, that's a great point. This tech is smart enough. They know, you're right. They know where we are. Why do I have to say, okay, this is my area code, this is where I am, these are the channels that I need to get, and select those? Why doesn't it just automatically do that by location? And then one other rant is completely different from TV. Why do I have to I've said this before, why do I have to set the time in my car when the time zones, when I'm driving into different time zones, it should change automatically, I think. And when we have daylight savings time, it should change. It should know that by now. If there's so much tech in a car, they can't make the clock technical. I mean,
that's kind of interesting. I know that the radio is smart enough that if I drive from here to Sacramento, I will be country by the time I get to Sacramento, because that's all the music that you'll hear when you get there. But that's very true. I don't know why the information is there. It has to be something to do with control and those big media companies not wanting to die and hanging on for dear life at our jest.
Yes. Well, yeah, I could go on and rant more and more about this kind of stuff, but I guess we should get into the news. And tonight we're doing it a little bit different. Typically, I pick several stories for all of us to talk about, but I thought it would be fun for everyone. And sorry, Lisa, I didn't have you pick a story because I didn't want you to have to do that. But for the two other co-hosts to pick a story as well. And
she's a hard taskmaster.
And Chris, I'll let you go first since you spoke up. So tell us, what did you find that was interesting tonight?
I think that a story that's certainly not underreported. I think that it's the sort of story that I like because there's implications to the implications to the implications, and it's fascinating. Is one of the storylines of the Apple conference these past days is this introduction of the new programming language, Swift, that's going to eventually underpin iOS and Mac devices. And it's I'm not a coder. I don't program, but I know enough about it to understand and to know what can and can't be done and know the differences in languages and different things. And, Objective-C is what they've been using. Mm-hmm. And it's, it gets the job done. It's not elegant. And it's, it's very much you write code, you sandbox it, you look, if something's wrong, then you go back. I think you have to go back and kind of try to figure it out. And there's a lot of great languages, that are happening that are moved beyond that. Python and, Ruby, Java, stuff like that. So the interesting thing is that, and for, I guess I don't do this very well as you, Jennifer. So they're not forcing anyone to use it. Mm-hmm. However, it's very clear that this is what's going to underpin their software for the future.
So this is taking place of Objective-C, right? Did I get that correctly?
Yes, yeah. And this is ringing. And one of the interesting implications is this is the death knell of Objective-C, obviously. Yeah. But one of the things, and the article that I referenced is off Slate, and it was one of the few articles when I was researching this on my own a few days ago that kind of took a little bit of a different tact. A lot of these sites, Wall Street Journal, Verge, TechCrunch, anywhere you go, they're just like, oh, this is wonderful. It's real time. It's going to get younger developers in it. There's going to be more, and I'll get to that in a minute. That maybe not is a great thing, but there's a really thoughtful article in Slate about it, and the question was just kind of like, but why? Why would they do this? When you have all these other languages that do everything that it's saying that it does differently, they do that and maybe even a little better. Mm-hmm. Java, Python, Ruby, Rust, all that stuff. And they have features that Swift doesn't. And so really what it boils down to is, and I love in classic Apple form, it's probably the most important thing that happened at the conference, because this is the only language that Apple owns completely, lock, stock, and barrel. You can't own Java. You can't own Python. Swift is proprietary. So now you have a company that's the number one consumer electronic company in the world. I mean, that runs all of our lives. That's really is so pervasive in culture, and now they're even locking that part down. So it's compatible with Objective-C, which is their existing infrastructure. Right. And it has the same, and now it gets really nerdy, but it has, the same object model interop. So, but, what does that mean down the road is that you're going to have to know Swift, mm-hmm. which they own, in order to write software for their devices. And I was a heavy critic of Google in the last years, as I watched them, complain about Apple and then wall their own garden up. they took all the stock apps back, the APIs and all that. So, it was, but this is like, that's checkers and this is Go. I mean, this is such a subtle play, I think, because, it is really cool. You can get when you're coding this language, you can see things in real time as it goes. You can change something and you can just see it change in the output. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's really neat, but I think that there's a really interesting subtext to this, which is what part. I mean, Apple owns the entire content delivery system. The device. This was the only thing that they didn't own, and now they've locked it up.
Yeah, they do.
And it's not going to run anyone else's devices.
Yeah, just theirs.
So what are the best developers? I mean, even more so now that you're going to have a generation of kids come up that are going to do Swift, because this is made for 13 and 14-year-olds to sit and make apps. I mean, it really is. So you're going to have this in 10 years, you're going to have all these kids that only know Swift. They're only going to be the designing, coding, programming
mm-hmm.
for Apple.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really, I think it's ingenious, in the same way I think villains that live in castles under a volcano with lasers are ingenious and really cool. But I'm very much, Jen, a proponent of open source stuff and transparency and non-proprietary things when they don't have to be. So I think it's going to be, this is the start of a shift that I don't know that we really understand completely what it's going to be down the road.
I wish I were a complete developer so I could totally get that didn't make any sense. But I wish I were a developer, that really read and understood code, and so I could see the differences between the two languages and see how great it is. But I was talking with Talos Sui from the Icon Factory the other day, and he was telling me about how the new test flight is now allowing you to have 1,000 devices for test flight, and where it used to be 100. So they go by Apple ID now rather than UDID. So and they could each have multiple. Each Apple ID could use multiple devices. So you could use your iPad, your iPhone. So that's nice too. Yeah. What about you, Lisa? Do you develop at all, or I'm sure you have a ton of developer friends.
Myself, exactly like you, I wish I were a developer, and as time goes by, that just grows and grows and grows. I think, if nothing else, I will retire not to garden, but to program, because I've worked with a lot of startups, and sometimes the capability that it should have, just like we know that people have information about where we are and why am I still watching commercials about these irrelevant things? In the same way, I go through frustration with development teams often, because I know that there are ways to get things done. So, and it's hard to find, a curated list of developers who really are representing themselves well. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you work for a large corporation. I work typically for smaller startups. Do you find the same thing is true, or in a large organization like yours, is it pretty much all in place now?
So for my daytime job, I do find that they hire a lot within the company, and they hire. So we have our own developers. And I see them always hiring developers for this and then for that. So I'm not certain exactly what they're writing, but yeah, that's it's. I think that they want to have that ownership and really have them work directly for the company rather than outsourcing them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Absolutely, it's easier when startups need something done right away, typically, and they're running on really short cycles. and you've got to try out a new developer for some reason, it's a nail biting situation. So one day I think I might, go just sit down at Code Academy and go through and teach myself PHP and whatever else is hot at that time.
Can I do it with you?
Yeah.
I want to do the same thing, Lisa. I've been wanting to learn this for such a long time. And then finally I sat down recently, just within the past few months, and just taking some online, self-paced stuff to teach myself. And then I have the Big Nerd Ranch from their Android programming guide as well. And I was reading that and, just really trying to get into it. I think it's awesome to be able to create something and have it work and have people enjoy what you create. It's what a cool thing, right? It's
absolutely. When you're starting in your career, you're rather economically minded. I remember being in my first big ad agency and being blown away by the money that was going in and out of the company. And what was more interesting to me as time goes by is what does that money produce? What does it convert to? What effect does it have on societies? Mm-hmm. And if you can get to that point, I think you're in a sweet spot. If you're like you or me, I would consider us a little nerdy. Then the idea of being able to have the power to actually build something to serve those, desires and ideals in your life are cool,
It is, definitely. I agree. Andrew, what's your take on all this? I put you on the spot. You still with us, Andrew? Did your phone drop out?
He's like, I'm in the Air Force. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with it.
Top Gun.
I guess he dropped out. So, cool story, Chris. And it's definitely, I think a lot of the developers are excited about Swift. And it was some huge news with Apple. And I think it's for them to do what they want to do, and that's have a controlled environment where they do own everything and things can't get broken. And that is one of the nice things about Apple, though, right? With it, you're not seeing all that malware that's out there, and they do have that controlled environment. But then, on the other hand, it's also great to be open. And I don't know.
But what's interesting about this, though, is it is in many ways going to foster the opposite of that, because what's going to happen is they're predicting there's going to be an absolute deluge of crappy apps because they're going to be so easy to make. And so you're going to be able to sit down and, like, in a few days with this language, pick it up, get on the console, see something, publish it, put it in. So there's going to be, the signal to noise ratio already in apps is ridiculous. And, Apple, as you know, Jen, is not, it doesn't, and Google too. I mean, the whole app review process, I don't want to get you going on that right now. But, how are they going to have to scale that up? I just, when I was listening to you guys talk, Lisa, I was slow clapping when I heard you say that about retiring into programming. I think that's awesome. I actually think, though, that right now we think everyone's going to be a programmer, and that's what everyone's doing. I think in 20 or 30 years, there will be a dearth of programmers because programmers will have created programs that let you do things without having to be a programmer. Mm-hmm. You can make apps. You can make. I can go in Twitter Bootstrap and make websites and extensions and scripts, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And so I just think that this is kind of another step in that direction.
Mm.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, I see your point. Well, good story. That's definitely, we'll have to watch this and see what kind of apps come out as a result, and if they're going to get a lot more, if they're, how they're going to be on the approval process, and yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be some free apps now for iOS. So
no,
I don't know.
We're just spoiled because of Google.
Yeah, That's true. True. I don't mind paying for apps, though. I actually enjoy paying for apps. I feel that I get a better, maybe it's just a mental thing, but at first I don't want to see ads in my apps, number one. And number two, I just feel, I don't know, I want to support the developer, so it's like it makes me feel good to buy an app.
I like to download an app that offers a pro version, so that if I don't like it, I'm not bought into it. But if I like the app, if I use it even, I know immediately. I mean, Jen, how we are with apps. I've got like 400 apps on my devices. If I like it, I'm going to get the pro version immediately because you're right. There is a value to it. You support the developer, and you usually get cooler stuff.
Yeah. I agree.
For sure.
Well, speaking of apps, I'm going to move on to my story, one of my stories at least. This one is about an activist robot. They call it activist. That's the name of the robot. And they're drawing bike lanes that it thinks that a city should have. So what happened was there's this town called Wiesbaden, and it was proclaimed to be the least friendly city in all of Germany by the country's cyclist club that they had. And so in response,
that's so bad. If you were named like the rudest in Canada, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But if you're like the worst in Germany, that's a whole different story.
That's great. Yeah, it's got to be pretty bad then, right? If it's
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I'm glad you did. It's funny. So what they did in response is that they had this creative agency called Schlotz and I think I pronounced it wrong, Schultz, rather, and Volkmer. And they worked with artists Manfred Kraft and Tom Creason, and they created a robot that draws. And actually the name of the robot is called, I got the name wrong, my apologies, Radwend, I believe is how you pronounce it. And they trace the paths of bike riders, and it creates a map that would make a more bike-friendly city. So it's what they're doing is there's an app that people are using. It's an iPhone app, and it connects to this robot. And this robot tracks the people's movement in real time when they're on their bikes. So it draws their journey down the city streets, and the lines get thicker and thicker where people are riding the most. And it looks like a piece of art. It's a beautiful diagram of the city, and it's really quite gorgeous. It's where people can actually buy it as art. So the prints are for sale. They actually are starting at 150 euros, and how much is that in American money?
I guess? $1 million.
No, probably like 200 maybe. I don't know. Yeah. $1 million. I hope that the dollar gets stronger, by the way, because, yeah. It's too weak right now. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
That's Jen. That's our economics podcast. That's next.
Yeah,
you're bleeding.
Sorry. And so this is a great idea. In my opinion, it's really showing the city where the bike routes need to be. And if people opt into this and they're using the app and they're creating this art, kudos to them for creating such a tool that will show them where they have to put bike routes. So I thought it was pretty neat. And they actually have a video. This article, by the way, is on fastcodedesign.com, and there's a video of the machine in action, and it's cool. I wouldn't mind having a neat piece of art like that on my wall. I think it'd be fun. Yeah.
It's also proof positive of the need in the community for accommodation for cyclists. In San Francisco, it's like there's a big problem between cyclists and buses that run them over, and idiots driving in the bike lanes. They just have actually. I live a block off of City Hall, and so we hear protests here. If something interesting, we go down. But one thing that they have done is a multi-million-dollar installation of these bright green bike lanes.
Nice.
I'll send you a picture or something. They're the people aren't used to them yet, but the cyclists seem to be really enjoying them and filling them up. And there are, places now where you can rent a bike. You swipe your card and rent the bike and drop it off somewhere else. And it's a pretty good deal economically. But I bet that something like this robot would be really great for the person trying to make the point for having safer roads and all of that.
Definitely. I could see them using something like this in San Francisco too, with all the riders out there. I think it's fantastic that they put those lanes in. And then last week we were talking about the bait bikes that are out there in San Francisco to capture the criminals that are stealing the bikes.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Wait, what's that? What?
There's bait bikes. So they have these, there's a cop out there who's in charge of the bait bike program, and they're putting these bait bikes, nice bikes, and allowing them to be stolen. So they will track them because they have GPS on them, and it will take them to the villain, and then they capture. Yeah, then they capture the thief, and then they shame them, and they put their picture all over Twitter. And the bikes are like $1,500 or higher, so it would be a felony. And so it's something else. It's really quite a cool program, in my opinion. I'm like, yeah.
I'm not in support of theft at all, but I sure don't want my name up on Twitter if I make a bad decision. I wonder if there's a way to get that off of there. My daughter recently broke up with her boyfriend for like the 400th time, so they're back together now, but.
No, they broke up just since you said it.
Wait, they're together again.
Yeah.
But during a moment of anger, my daughter said, I have pictures of him like naked, and I'm going to post them all over. And and I said quickly, does he have pictures of you too? And she's like, oh. So I think that is really good incentive, because people do care about their Twitter followings more than they would like even to have your face in the paper or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, once it's online, yeah, it's impossible to erase that, right? It's unless
you just send a letter to Google.
Send a letter to Google, but
if
you have
you're
to live in Europe. Yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly.
Bait bikes.
Yeah, bait bikes. Yep. Yeah. So, Andrew, I heard you laugh there. You're back.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. My Skype app just crashed all of a sudden.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'm back now.
Good deal. Well, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts on the bike story?
Andrew, if you've got a volleyball game with Tom Cruise you need to go to, just go. We will understand.
If you're referencing Top Gun, that was the Navy.
Oh, that was the Navy. You know what?
I take a tiny bit of offense to that.
They were flying, though.
No.
But they were flying. What was up with that? Who was flying in that?
Yeah, off of an aircraft carrier. That's the Navy.
Well, people in the Marines can walk too, but
They swim for the first half and then they walk for the rest.
What was the volleyball song from Top Gun?
Oh my God, it's been forever.
Let's see.
I can hear the guitar.
I know.
I mean, you don't have to know anything anymore. It's Kenny Loggins playing with the boys.
There you go. You don't have to know anything anymore.
You just have to know how to know things. You don't actually have to know them.
No, that's true. You just have to look it up. That's right, because I remember...
Kenny Loggins owned that movie.
Yeah.
It's the only reason he made any money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember that was one of the things, Chris, about you, that you're just... you're always looking things up on your phone, Wikipedia, whatever, just trying to find out the answers for everything. Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, why are you... they'll say something. I'll say, hey, look, I'm going to look it up. And they'll say, why are you always pulling out your phone and look at it? I'm like, well, the entire collected knowledge of humankind is in my pocket, so I'm going to pull it out and look at it and see the answer to the thing that I want to know. And people get really offended by it. They're like, well, you should just not know. Like, it's more authentic to just not know
Really
something.
think you're cheating or something?
I don't know.
Cheating on life?
If I pulled out an abacus and started using it, it would be okay.
My father does the same thing though. We're even if we're hiking in the woods, right? We're hiking, and I'll be like, "Oh, I wonder, yada yada yada, blah blah blah." Well, let me look, and then he walks at this slow 1 mile per hour pace because he's looking on the phone, and but he always has to look it up on his iPhone. Yeah, he loves it. But
so your dad has an iPhone, and what do you have, Jennifer?
I carry a Moto X and an iPhone.
Uh-huh.
How about you?
That's a loaded question. She has every device all the time.
I do have every device. But
yes, it is a loaded question. You and I are a lot alike. I also have a Moto X and an iPhone. The iPhone we keep around because we're on a grandfathered plan that allows us to use the internet if we need to when we can't get on something free. And it's this little teeny loophole that made us keep an iPhone around, because when my husband got the Moto X and I saw how much fun he was having with it, I dumped my iPhone and I got one too. And it's interesting because earlier we were talking about, feeling good about paying for apps because we're supporting developers, and that's a nice feeling. And if there are developers in the room, I will say that too. But I would still like everything free, please. And of course that's not true. You have an iPhone for 5-6 years, whatever it was. I can imagine I had hundreds of dollars worth of paid apps, and there is one paid app that made me switch to the Moto X, and that was SwiftKeys. And now I'm actually without a phone for the next few days because I dropped it the 400th time, by the way, because I'm really rough on that phone, and it bled to death. And
I saw a picture of that. Yeah. It saddened me when I saw it.
I know, it is sad, isn't it? But again, like, here I am bitching about that, and Andrew's probably like, "Oh my God, this woman! Like, I just have a phone."
I love that Moto X though. It has been, and I've used the Note 3, the HTC One M8, and I still go back to this Moto X.
Interesting.
I love it. It's just, I love the OK Google Now feature. If I say it aloud, it will respond. But I love when I talk to it how it responds, and
Well, we used to have before I had mine. We used to have competitions with the voice. We were really bad. There was a question that came up anywhere. We'd look at each other, and it would be on, and we'd try to, get the right answer first. And Siri lost like a bitch every single time. So that's another thing I appreciate about that the voice recognition is like the search recognition. It's really, really, really good.
It is. I agree. I think Google has done a great job with it. Definitely. And the other two guys, Andrew, do you want to say what you're using?
I have a Note 2. I'm not exactly sure how old it is. Do you remember when it came out? Was it over a year now?
It's been you got it it was late summer last year that you got it. I think you got it in like August or September, right? But you got it when it had already been out for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of ready for a new device. I'm kind of overdue.
Yeah, I think you're going to. But do you know what you're going to get?
I have absolutely no idea. I'm honestly, probably what I'm going to do is ask you what you would get if you were in my position, and then get that.
All right.
That's a great idea.
I'll make a good recommendation to you later. So, and Andrew and Chris, you're using the 5S, right?
I've got the 5S. I broke down and got a Galaxy S5. So those are my two primary devices, and then I'm littered with other devices that aren't, that are just on Wi-Fi now because I just had them, and then I got different phones, but I still use them to develop or whatever on them. But yeah, I'm always gonna have a good Android phone and a good iOS phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I can't. I don't want to compromise.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Even if I switch industries, I'll still carry both platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat or take showers, but I have
but
some
you have
cool
some
phones.
nice phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your priorities straight, Yeah. I feel ya. I feel ya. So, Andrew, you have a good story. Yeah. Do you happen to have it up in front of you, or no, because you're not
I can get it up in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go kind of quick, too, because we're already like halfway through the show here, but...
About cybersecurity.
Right. Got it up in front of me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as you guys know, or may not know, maybe you do know, I don't know who has any friends or family that work a government job, but
I only had
because of the sequester that happened at the end of last year, around October, because we couldn't come up with a budget plan, it took a while for the government to actually get the DoD funding budget plan up in public. Mm-hmm. So it just came out a couple weeks ago. And there was a point that this Mr. Kevin Coleman, who I'm not exactly sure how trustworthy he is because apparently he works for Netscape, but
you can still work for Netscape?
Hey now.
Wait. Lisa used to work for Netscape, right?
Hey now.
Well, she doesn't anymore.
Yeah, but back in the day, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I've stopped raping and pillaging now.
So, he's gone through the budget, and he had an interesting fact to note, was that if you go through the entire DoD budget, there was deep cuts in almost everything, obviously, because for some reason people don't want to be safe. But cyber surety, or cybersecurity as it's called in the private sector, was not cut at all. It was one of the only fields that wasn't impacted.
Oh, good.
And though it is a small percentage, it is kind of amazing that it wasn't impacted at all, and it kind of sends a message to the American community, the international community, actually, that it is a high threat still, and it is still an issue, and constantly is an issue. Mm-hmm. And he goes on to point out that actually, where's the fact? Can I find this? In 2013, it says 80% of all malware that was ever created and is ever in existence was created in 2013.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, 20%.
20%, yeah.
But still, 20% in that 1 year is all of the malware that was ever existed.
So it's really just jumping up. That's crazy.
It is. It's a big figure, and this is 30 million new strains of malicious code created in that 1 year.
Oh my gosh.
And then averages to about 82,000 new strains per day.
That's disgusting. That's
actually, from a marketing standpoint, that's fantastic. How did they do that?
And you can see that, like, there's people in the world that want to do bad things, and obviously, with the internet, we have everything at our fingertips. So these people are just like, hey, I can do bad things, and I have everyone at my fingertips. So that's the easiest way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right. You're right.
So you got to think. I mean, to travel across the globe, if you want to assault a country, to travel across the globe, it's going to take days or hours of time and hundreds of thousands of dollars in fuel. But to use the internet, it's a lot cheaper, incredibly cheaper. So to do that, that's the easiest way to attack someone now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And they can hide behind the screen and hide behind the computer, and it's a lot easier to attack other people that way and extort money that way, right? With the hijacks that they do.
Crypto locker.
Mm-hmm. Crypto locker.
Crypto locker. There was actually, I can't really go too in detail with this, but there was actually like an Air Force-wide email sent out about the dangers of crypto locker because it was affecting so many different systems in America.
Wow.
That it became a huge deal, and they wanted every single person in the military educated on it.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Well, there's been police departments that paid the ransom to get their stuff back.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people that aren't as tech savvy as most of us would like to think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that one, it was just one of the worst ones out there. The fact that they couldn't get people to crack it, right, and to have it reversed.
You can't.
You just
not
couldn't.
with current technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just pay, but they're very nice about it. They usually, when you pay, they give you access back. That's what it's like.
Usually.
It's like right. Well, there's variants, but like the main people that do it, this is a huge business.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, there was the iOS one that just happened in Australia recently, and now there's an Android one that came about last week that has launched in Russia. So they're doing the same thing. They're hijacking the phones, holding them for ransom, and getting money from people. So.
Yeah, it was something like ridiculous degree of encryption that they used on it that was like not even conventional. It's just almost impossible to break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll encourage you guys and anyone listening to. There's a website called Medium.com. It's founded by one of the founders of Twitter, and it's just got little longer articles. And just search for an article called "Everything is Broken."
Okay.
And then the point of it is that there is no such thing as computer security anymore. The fundamental blocks that everything is built on is faulty.
Wow.
And everything over top that the NSA is doing and that we think we're doing by putting, Norton and all this kind of nonsense, it's just all dressing up the fact that it's all broken.
That's not what I want to hear. That's what my degree's in.
Well, that's great for you if it was.
Fix it.
Yeah.
You can do it, Andrew. You can save the world. I have
As we
faith
say
in
this,
you.
there's like 18 fire trucks driving down the street.
Oh.
It's very ominous.
Oh my goodness. That's not good. Well, no, this is a great story. I'm glad to see that they did not cut, with the budget cuts, that they did not cut the budget when it comes to cybersecurity, and they realize the huge importance that we have here for our nation as well as everyone else in the world, really. So it's definitely something that we need to stay on top of, and good to know that they're completely aware of that and keeping the money in the program. So
yeah, it's good for me. That's one of my jobs in the Air Force. I actually have 2 jobs in the Air Force, but cybersecurity is one of them.
Oh, perfect.
What's the other one, Andrew?
Maintenance data analyst. It's like a number cruncher. I do find out like how much we spend on certain aircrafts, what usually goes wrong with them, what we need to do in the future to reduce our costs, things like that.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have some fun roles in the Air Force. That's cool.
Yeah, I wish I could do it more. I've been trying to get a full-time job for a while now. But full-time for the next 3 months here, so
that's
I'm happy.
Good. Yay. Good stuff. Well, let's pivot or shift gears and get into, I'm going to drop the last story due to time, but let's get into talking with Lisa about all that she does. Is the woman with many hats. I took a look at your profile, and we've been friends now for a little while online, and but when I was looking at your website and looking at everything that you've done, you've been at so many organizations and just quite impressive resume. I'll say that. Not that I should be looking at a resume, but it just it's impressive. So why don't you tell everyone what exactly do you do, or what have you been doing?
Yeah. LinkedIn, the new resume.
Yeah.
So I have a strong advertising background. I started at a large firm and quickly sort of got the lay of the land, and and throughout my career I've either worked for large agencies or worked for tech companies. Often when the ad agencies were failing or going through acquisition and got very tumultuous. Mm-hmm. And through that, I started my own marketing agency 15 years ago. And since then, I've been doing mostly startup work, some larger corporation work, but mostly helping tech companies here in the Valley, get their stuff together and get their software out the door.
Oh, great! I bet there's a huge opportunity there for that, right? I mean,
it waxes and wanes. Mm-hmm. So what I find that happens is that the types of companies that you work with change. So in the last sort of exodus of people looking to make quick money, often you see waves of people from PR and other, outer lying ecosystem people come here briefly and flip us off and go back to Ohio where they live or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I noticed that what happens, the money doesn't stop flowing. It just changes course. And so in the last 5 or 10 years, I've noticed that there's been a lot of biotech companies that have had money. And so a couple of the clients that I've had have been like Kaiser Permanente, and some other startups that are working on either medical devices or video libraries of help stuff for from going through medical procedures, and a few companies like that.
Right.
My personal interest, I talked a little bit about that a few minutes ago. My personal interests or skills are not so much in medical. I have more of an interest in civic activities and community building. I've done some work in citizen journalism, and I like traveling and seeing new cultures and that kind of thing. I was going to be a cultural anthropologist, but technology was really slow to that field. Mm-hmm. I was watching people write things on index cards, and I thought, I don't know, it's going to slow me down. So I sort of gravitated towards more of that fast-paced, quickly evolving tech industry.
Have you always been a techie, though, since, is that in your nature, since you were a kid?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to admit if you were kind of nerdy in school. I was the first girl at my high school to get a letter in football.
Really?
I much preferred. I didn't take economics or home economics and sewing and cooking. I took metal shop and wood shop, and I was just more interested in those activities for whatever reason, and I almost didn't graduate high school because I couldn't get through chemistry and more of the physical sciences, but they let me take computer courses. So I took BASIC and I took Pascal, and that was pretty unusual for a high school student, mm-hmm. Particularly a girl. So I have been technical since the beginning.
Nice.
Since my beginning. My dad was an electrician and probably inspired me to tinker around with things and figure out how and why they work and how to change them. And so I would credit most of that to him.
Cool dad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool dad.
No, that's great. No, that's probably why you kept on gravitating towards working with those tech companies then, even though you we're studying in anthropology, right? But yeah, so.
And the types of companies, like I said, they change over time. Right now, they're kind of all over the map, and either they're medical companies or they're young startups that haven't launched yet and are just doing some thought leadership branding, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I do everything from building sites to email marketing, to integrated campaigns, and I am also writing a book right now on contextual marketing. Yeah.
Nice.
Can you define that? Because I know that I don't know exactly what you mean.
Okay, and no, I'm just kidding. It's a very broad topic, and the way that I'm approaching it is in terms of our usage with media. There's contextual marketing of the future that you see in movies like Minority Report, where Tom Cruise walks by something and it goes, "Hey John," I think his name was John in that movie. I don't know. "Hey Tom, you want to try this cereal or whatever." I think we're getting a lot closer to that than we think, and I think that in fact we will see more innovation in that than we will in the traditional stuff like TV. And we were talking about those problems earlier about how they have this information but they can't use it. It's like a political thing. It's corporations trying to stay alive, stay in control. I think that because software and the internet are so much more flexible, that they will evolve faster, and that we will see the solutions come from there instead of those more traditional areas. So when I talk about contextual marketing, it's about getting that right commercial to you. It's about being at a ballpark and for some reason dying for a Coke, and you don't know why, and it's right there in front of you. So there's a reason, because you just saw 17 banners or whatever and associate them with this good time you're having at the ballpark, and suddenly a Coke, which in some moments seems like a really evil choice, is like the only choice at the ballpark. You've got to have an ice cold Coke because you see this picture. So that's the kind of contextual marketing that I am concentrating on in the book. Yeah.
I am extremely excited about contextual marketing. After reading Scobles and who did he write that book with?
Israel.
Lazar. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Age of Context and it just really put things into perspective that, we definitely are in the age of context. And I rather enjoy seeing, I'd rather have a targeted ad towards me than a non-targeted ad. I'd rather see something that I'm interested in, and for it to be in relation to what I'm doing at the moment, and it's kind of a convenience, if you will.
Well, it's Google's ads in your inbox. That's got to be the most obvious example I can think of then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that too.
They're complete experts at that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But I'm like you. I want, and maybe Andrew does not feel this way. We might be on opposite ends. You're trying to protect, our privacy, security, our world from cyber attacks, and I want the internet to have every piece of information about me so that we can stop wasting time and we can evolve. Mm-hmm. And I see the problems that might come. I've heard philosophers talk about, how technology will bring a bunch down, but it's inevitable. We have to go through this painful phase. And then what will happen, I believe, is that we will be more honest people. We'll be, judged on things other than we're judged now. I think that whole part of society will change a little. And I think you won't waste time looking at commercials that aren't right for you. I think that, your teenager will be watching TV and she'll see an ad for tampons because it's 2 days before her cycle. Mm. That's the kind of thing that I don't want to gross you guys out. But there's a lot of very real stuff on TV, and that's the kind of real stuff I would rather see.
Yeah, something that's relevant rather than irrelevant, definitely. And there's something to be said for sharing that information online. And my take on it, I'm very much like you, Lisa. I'm not really hiding from people online or from anyone. I want them to know things about me so that I can have a better, more enriched online experience and have things in life just happen better and easier. That's what technology does. It helps us. And so I'm all for that. And also, I'm quite of a metaphysical person, so just to kind of throw that out there, once you set an idea in motion, that idea is being picked up, the vibration is out there, and people are picking up on that. Yeah. So everything is, there's no privacy. Even if you think there's privacy, there's not. Even once you put the thought out there, it's a fact that's kind of transmitted out. So it's, now I'm sorry, that gets into a whole nother discussion, but, so what's the big deal with sharing things with the internet? And people that are so private and concerned, it kind of puzzles me. Unless if you're like a drug dealer or a criminal, then I can see why. But if you're,
I think the point though is that you're talking about a society where you don't even have that choice. Whether you agree someone should. I mean, I happen to. You certainly you save privacy by destroying it. I mean, I kind of agree with that on a level, but at the same time, I think that you can't just take that choice away from people.
I agree with that. Yeah,
that's the tough part about it, though, because you're right, Jennifer. It's privacy. I remember Eric Schmidt got on the stage probably 7 years ago and said, if you ever want to do something that you don't want, you don't want people to know about, then you can't have a computer. Mm-hmm. You can't. He knew then. And he was certainly one of the few people in the world in a position to know that privacy was already over.
From the computer standpoint, for sure. But also, I mean, as you must know, very intimately, I mean, I don't think there's a place on the freeway or an alley or anywhere, maybe the bathrooms, that you can get away with, acting out.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Exactly right. Yep.
It's pervasive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even, and I was looking the other day at Google Maps and, zooming in at my place. I'm like, oh, there's, so-and-so's car in the driveway. And, and then I see some neighbors that they didn't off in the distance, but they didn't really, block out their faces because they were really at a distance. But I was like, oh, those guys are on Google Maps, And so everything is being recorded anyway. And
right.
Yeah.
Well, what it's like when we talk about Google Glass, why do you have an expectation of privacy if you're in public? To me, it's like attacking those sort of ideas, and see, that's very endemic to our country. In Britain, they're used to the fact that every time you walk out the door, you're on closed circuit TV. Mm-hmm. You just are. It has been for years, so they don't even have that expectation, so it doesn't bother them.
That must be because of the royal family?
Well, I'm not sure. At least I think that obviously they have a smaller kind of framework to work in, and they just kind of connect. I mean, in those cities, but even in our cities, you don't realize, but when you go to certain cities, Chicago is one of them. There's cameras everywhere. They can pinpoint gunshots by triangulating the sound. I mean, it's very much already around us.
Yeah, I like hearing that. I want, whenever I see the police, I'm relieved. I'm a big fan of the police. My dad's a big hippie, and he would hate me saying that, but I'm always relieved. I just, the more information they have, the better. I know that around here we have a lot of crime in Oakland, for example, and they have all kinds of tech programs that they're piloting and trying out, and identifying sort of that heat map thing that the robot does for violent crimes. So they know to police those areas more, and that's the kind of evolution that I'm talking about. That's the direction we want to go. It's much more, Sometimes I'm at a networking event and I hear somebody, standing up going, "No, it's our privacy. You can't have any." And I don't want people, hearing what I'm saying on the phone. And well, you know what? They really don't care what you're saying on the phone. Believe it or not, those budgets are cut, and people are trying to do good things with the money that's left. And listening to, you buy weed over the phone with your cousin is not going to rank in any way towards, putting any resources against you. That's my feeling anyways.
Yep. I feel similarly to you. We're all on the same page, I think.
I might have went off into a different direction there, but let me bring it back to your question. I have a new startup that I would like to talk about, but I can't quite yet, and so I hope that we can talk again in a few weeks.
I've got so many questions. Definitely then.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know you can at least tell us the name, which is Name Place, right?
Yeah, tell you the name.
Okay.
I can tell you that that what we do is we focus on municipalities, and we help them fund community activities through assets that they have that are mostly untapped, that they're not using right now. So as an example, Nike might sponsor a Little League season, all across Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We bundle together sponsorship opportunities to make them large enough and interesting enough to larger advertisers who usually have community programs and want to spend that money in places that it will help communities. And that's the top level I can share with you.
There's a platform.
Very, very exciting news about it. I can't yet.
I understand. Not until it's officially launched, most likely, or when you're ready to, come out publicly with full details. So we'll have
non-disclosure.
Yeah. So we'll have to have you back on when it's ready to launch, when you guys are coming out. Definitely.
In the meantime, I will tell you about another little startup I'm working with.
Okay, cool.
That's very promising. I'm just doing some marketing work for them. I'm not actually involved on a founder level or anything. But the company is called Musicians Guild, and they are they're in the process of raising money and finishing their product and launching. The CEO, his name is David Brooks. He spent almost 10 years building app exchange at Salesforce.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh, I know it well.
Very very strong technical background. Their CTO was the architect of digital media platforms for the first 5 iPods, and he has 10 or so patents in digital music distribution. They've got other people on the team, like Julian Colbeck, who's a professional musician. Actually, everybody on the team has a personal interest in music, and what they're trying to do is put together like a Khan Academy for music to support lifelong learning. So at any stage that you're at, and they have ties with Alan Parsons, if you remember Alan Parsons Project. And,
yes.
He's very involved in some other very interesting people. And they are, like I said, they're in Silicon Valley, and they're right now raising money to try to do something something good for people, wanting to play music. I don't know what the ratio is here on our call of musicians. Do any of you guys play music?
Chris does.
I majored in music, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And do you compose? Are you a instrumental?
I play I play double bass. I played classical and jazz, and now I look at 2 guitars sitting in the corner of my living room.
Didn't you had a few bands, though? You told me some stories.
Maybe.
You told me stories.
Yeah, I mean, well, so I'm playing double bass, which is like the nerdiest string instrument certainly you can play, probably. Well, yeah, pretty much. So then I went and I was like, oh, well, there's like a bass guitar, and that's cool. And then you're like, oh, well, I should learn how to play guitar because that's going to make me a better bassist. And then it's bass what? Because you're 16, 17, 18 and in bands and driving around in vans and playing house shows at colleges and doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing. So, yeah, but so, and I found, though, that, music is, of course, mathematical, and a lot of the musicians I know, except for the ones that are stridently anti-technology, Luddites, a lot of those, when you sit down and teach yourself guitar, I mean, it's kind of analogous to teaching yourself to code or teaching yourself how to, there's patterns and different things. So I think that's why you do, Lisa, you find a lot of musicians. You find a lot of technology people that do play music, I've found.
Yeah. I play the piano, but that's it. I don't do that much with it anymore. But I used to be pretty good. But what were you saying? I'm sorry, Lisa.
I play the piano, but that's it. Okay, so playing the piano is really difficult. For somebody who doesn't know how to play the piano, that sounds insane. That's like, I fly to the moon, but, that's all I do. Seriously, I love music. I've learned a bunch of statistics about music and mathematics and about how music makes you healthier and happier and smarter. And I personally played the violin in grammar school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because at that time I was a bit nerdy. I only played for a few years, and then a couple of years ago, my husband bought me an electric violin, and it sits in the corner with the guitar that I bought after hearing a Jason Mraz song about 8 or 9 years ago. But damn it, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna send you MP3s, and you're gonna be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But the electric violin, isn't that just the sexiest instrument?
Is it?
I mean,
it really is.
Out of control.
Out of control.
Yeah.
That is cool. No, I took violin too when I was in grammar school, Lisa. Wow. Yeah.
Common every time we talk.
Yeah, we have a lot in common, definitely. And then I took the drums for a little bit too, but only for one season. And then I decided it was a challenge, and I stopped. So.
You have to have parental support for that too. I mean, your parents have to, be willing to listen to you, get out all your teenage angst on those things.
Yeah, it's a challenging instrument. It's like you think that it would be kind of not that I ever thought it'd be easy, but it just it takes definitely talent. You have to. I think of Travis Barker. He's one of my favorite from Blink-182. One of my favorite drummers. He's so good. Anyway. Sorry, going off on a tangent. So I was reading on the post that you wrote about on lisacast.com when you wrote about Musicians Guild, and I'm looking at the team, and I see Fred on there as well.
Yes, that's no accident that I received a little bit of marketing work, being in such close proximity. Right. My husband is one of those founders, and he's also a musician. He plays keyboards and guitars and some instruments that I have never even heard of. He's very eclectic that way.
Nice.
And he's also a brilliant startup guy. So he started Ask Jeeves and CNET and Wired Magazine.
Wow.
And has been involved in a bunch of other stuff that you'd be familiar with. So having him around is always entertaining.
Oh, it's got to be. Yeah. I mean, definitely. It sounds like the entire group here is extremely intelligent and driven and innovative. With everything that they've done. So. What a smart, fun team to work with. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
This is exciting. They're creating a platform. I mean, I can pull that out already. So that's exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do.
Smart idea.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the Silicon Valley show.
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you see the Pivot show?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
well, Musicians Guild has been living the pivot, and that's because there's some competition out there for music collaboration. There are some challenges with different pieces of software and that kind of thing. But the Khan Academy for Music thing that they're coming out with probably has the broadest appeal, but for hobbyists like my husband. Some of the stuff that sounds even more interesting to me is this one thing that they have that will drop out whichever piece of music you play out of a song, and they call it music -1, and so you can play bass during with the song. There's a
cool.
And they have other tools too, but it's kind of one of those things like we have so much, what do we go out with, and what's going to be the most powerful, but I think it's pretty interesting, and it's inspiring because we have kind of dry jobs typically, and being involved with a group that is so creative, like musicians, is a lot of fun. And I haven't heard everybody play yet, but we've definitely been invited to some kick-ass performances that
cool.
that aren't things that typically tech people do. I remember going to South by Southwest once just to do it. Okay, no offense against Texas. But it's the only time I've been to Texas. And what I noticed is that they had a huge party, and they had someone notable up there like rapping and singing, and there were like 400 people in the room, and they were literally repelled from the music. They were all standing towards the wall and the doors and that kind of thing.
Whoa.
And trying to have, you've been to these.
Yeah.
What do you do? Who do you work for? Having this conversation. And I guess I'd had enough to drink that the music was starting to sound really nice. And I'm not afraid to be the first one up on the floor.
That's awesome.
And I was just leaning forward, and I had been in a conversation with the gentleman across from me, and I was just leaning forward to say, I'm going to put my drink down and go dance. And when I did, he leaned forward and he goes, "Can you believe how loud this music is?" and then I sat back down, not because I didn't want to dance, but because I knew that there wasn't one other fucking person in there that would have gone and danced.
No,
we just went to SF Music Tech a few days ago, and while there's music, it's very, very tech oriented. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. I bet that was fun to go to.
No, it's a little different than most of the conferences. They had better decorations and better food and better drinks.
Where was that held at? I know San Francisco, but where in San Francisco?
It was at the Hotel Kabuki.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you mean that the means, that the things they were using was more tech oriented, or
at SF Music Tech?
Yeah.
It looked like you'd walked into a brightly lit TechCrunch show, and then somebody turned off the lights and put on like rainbow lights, and handed you a beer. And so it's a little looser, and people were talking about more creative things than just, what do you do for Google, or what do you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they have a website, the Music Guild, right now, or is it just still being launched?
No, they do. It's musiciansguild.com.
Okay. Musicians.
And right now there's an email capture, and they're working on the site, and it looks very exciting. I can't wait till they launch.
All right. I'm putting my email address in there now, so I'll be up to date on when they launch. Good stuff. And so you also are. What else are you involved with? I know you have Lisa Cast. That's your main website where I see you blog on the site. But what else do you do with that?
Yeah, there's Lisa Cast started as a podcast, and it periodically is still a podcast. And I started it right before I started working for Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio is basically a phone call that is turned into a subscribable podcast. And you can have people call in, and it's broadcast live. And you can upload your intros and outros and music, and they have a premium product that allows you to moderate your callers when they call in.
Right.
If you're so popular that you get, nut
so
job.
many calls, yeah. That's kind of cool. This is a neat platform.
And I was their VP of marketing, and they only had a few people or just getting off the ground, and so I became very involved in my podcast as a way to show people how to use the platform. So I not only did my show, but I did shows for a lot of tech conferences like Demo and TechCrunch, and I did some stuff for Adobe and got the bigger companies on the platform with either somebody from engineering or what was really interesting about it is that one of the things I do is channel marketing. And so I do an assessment when I come in to see, where the richest veins feel like they are and that kind of thing. And they were so new that what we did instead was put some algorithms in that allowed for the site to basically express what people were interested in, what they were coming for, what types of shows they were putting up in which types of categories. And so having come from Netscape and done their consumer channels and seeing what was popular there, I sort of came with a short list, expecting that list of interest to be replicated there, and it wasn't. It was very different. There were a lot of paranormal shows. There were political shows. It followed more of the talk radio stuff, and it attracted everybody from presidents to movie stars to the list goes on.
Wow.
So it grew in this very interesting organic way that made me rethink the way I build communities now, because they don't grow organically very quickly. They need some help, and they need consistency, and you guys know that kind of thing. But being with the company helped me grow my subscribership quite a bit while I was there. And when I left, I continued in, and I will probably do that forever. I think it's such a great technology that we have that we can jump on the phone and have like adult conversations that we don't just have to listen to the radio.
No, yeah, exactly. Better to have something, that we can listen to and participate in, even with Blog Talk Radio to call in. I prefer podcasts myself.
Lisa, I have a question. I know that at one point, Lisa Cast, the podcast had 40,000, listeners. And when you talk about organic growth in the community, at that point, Lisa Cast was its own small community in a way. How did your user growth chart? What did the graph look like to get that many?
Well, it did not hurt that I was in a marketing role at the company, because I understood how to get my shows featured. I often interviewed high-profile guests that were coming on because they weren't as familiar with the platform. So that helped a bit. And the other thing that helped, and still helps, is that when you first signed up for Blog Talk Radio, and it's a free service, so there were a lot of signups. Much like MySpace, you got one friend, to help you out, right? The person on the inside, and that person on the inside was me.
Oh.
You were Tom.
I was Tom.
How cool.
I was the Tom. So that was the secret to a lot of growth. Now the audience, however, that number is a very broad audience. I'm relatively technical, and I do technical marketing, and a lot of people in that 40,000 number are not very technical, and they come off of those categories that I was talking about. So I've been invited to be a host on one of those ghost hunters shows.
Oh yeah.
I get the craziest kind of like requests out of nowhere.
That's cool.
So it's interesting in one sense. It also gives me the freedom to not be so tech oriented on the show if I don't want to be. My last post on the site was about one of the guys who invented mountain biking.
Fred Wolf.
I saw that. Yeah.
He's a really good buddy of my dad's, and so that's not tech at all. I mean, well, it kind of is, but it's a little nerdy. Mm-hmm. There's no monetary reason I'm doing it. I'm not trying to make friends with Adobe or anybody,
Right.
And there was some pressure to do that while I was at Blog Talk Radio, to make sure that the conversations I was having were going to be beneficial for everybody possible.
Yeah, and probably trying to get the numbers up, and to talk with him.
I love that company, and probably if you'd asked me a few years ago, what service would you be excited about to tell people about it, it would probably be that one. But it might be a little different today. Things have moved forward. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do have some friends that do use Blog Talk Radio today, actually, and they've been happy with it. But there are a lot of different, I guess there's a handful of different platforms out there to use so I guess more competition in the space today as opposed to a few years ago. But now it's so much about distribution. So, for instance, I noticed your show is on like 6 different distribution channels, right? And while I've been mainly using either my blog and or just Blog Talk Radio, but one thing that, again, something that helps grow, user bases, and this will not be a surprise to this group, I'm sure, but the idea of widgetizing your shows and being able to put them anywhere else on any blog or in an email or whatever is the viral trick that if you have any service that's like that about just distributing media, whether it's text, audio, video, whatever comes next, mm-hmm. that's the way to do it, because those hosts care about where that music goes, and they're your ambassadors or your podcasts or whatever they are, and it works awfully well. That's a good idea. Yeah, there's a few sites that we are in a lot of different distribution channels. There's a few of them that do have the players that you can embed, and like such as SoundCloud and Spreaker, and I think I know Podomatic does, and Stitcher I don't think allows you to embed, and iHeartRadio I'm not certain if it does. I have to take a look, but no, that's something I never even really thought of. It's But yeah, so that was my approach. It was like, okay, let me just kind of be out on as many platforms as I can be on, or as we can be on, and because there's different audiences in different areas, and so I
see what sticks. What has if you could rank them, what are like the top couple that you would use if you could only use a couple of them?
If I could only use a couple of them, I would go with Spreaker, because Spreaker cross-posts to iHeartRadio as well as YouTube and SoundCloud. But I do have the subscription to SoundCloud as well, though. So I use Spreaker because of its tie-in with iHeart. And I, of course, continue with iTunes as well. So those would be the two that I'd stick with.
Yeah, see, I'm not even on iTunes, and that just I don't know, that just shows you. SoundCloud is very interesting to me because I watch. I have a 18-year-old daughter who I've watched, sit with a mouse in her hand since she was like 2, and I find it extremely interesting to watch the little focus group that she is, adopt things and dump them, and adopt other things and use them wrong and get grounded, and then and do other things and. But SoundCloud, if there's, she even said to me herself, Mom, I'm embarrassed for our generation because, we're a bunch of idiots. And I said, that's not true. People are critical that, you haven't found your way yet, your purpose, your charter, but that'll all come. But I swear the only thing I find them interested and passionate about is rapping. And a couple of the friends have home studios, and they make music that sounds better than what I hear on the radio, and they post it on SoundCloud.
Wow.
And to me, that's pretty interesting.
It is.
She uses Facebook. She, I've watched her migrate from one network to another, and she's still pretty fond of Instagram and
Snapchat.
Yeah, you're right. Snapchat. I'm in a little denial about that. I'm waiting for it to go away, like chat roulette or something, because my daughter's a little hacker, and I said, I'm asking her about it. So what you send just disappears after a while. She said, yeah. And I go, well, can't you take a screenshot of it? She goes, well, you're not supposed to be able to. And I said, well, wait a minute. She goes, but yeah, let me show you these pictures I took of my friend when she was drunk. And so there's ways.
I have a script on my Android device that just automatically archives all the Snapchats because Snapchat will tell you if someone screenshots. There's so many, and I mean that's not even that was. I didn't write the script. It was just.
Oh, how funny!
That's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going away though. You made me laugh when you said chat roulette because I just pictured like a laptop screen.
I know what you pictured. La 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 la.
I would turn on and like a big moose head or something.
Oh, too funny. No, I love SoundCloud. I found some awesome music on SoundCloud that is not. I look on Spotify, it's not on there. I look elsewhere, I don't see it, but I'll see it on Spotify. I mean, on SoundCloud. But whether or not it's good for podcast, that I haven't seen that. I have very few listens, or we do. I'm sorry, Chris, I keep saying I. We have very few listens on SoundCloud as opposed to the different platforms. And but for music, I see it's quite the place, to be. So it's interesting.
I use Spotify. I mean, I love it. You can't take that away from me.
Oh, I love it too.
You can
get us started on it. Don't get us started on Spotify.
We love it.
It'll never end.
Yeah, we love it.
Okay, I'm with friends.
Keep on. Do you have the conversation with people? Chris is right. Don't start. We'll keep talking about it. Do you have the conversation with people trying to convince them, like they just don't get it? They're like,
well, no, I just have iTunes. I'm like, but no, it's not. That's not it. It's like, oh, I just use Pandora. That's the worst.
They don't get it. So anyway. So that's a good time to talk about, I guess. Well, no, we weren't done talking about Lisa Cast, I guess, or are we? I'm not sure. Is there anything else you'd like to add? about Lisa
The other thing I wanted to add is that I'd love to have you on the show.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And if I could get all of you to come on the show, that would be really cool.
We'd love it. Or I would. Would you be up for that, Chris?
Yeah, but I know I'm still gonna be doing it over the computer, but I'm gonna have to fly to San Francisco now, so I can get the full effect. So, Jen, now we have a trip.
Ah, all right. Are you paying, Chris?
I'm hitchhiking. What are you talking about?
We should get it sponsored on Kickstarter or something.
Yeah, could you imagine? That's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I speaking for myself, Lisa. That would be amazing. I would love that. Thank you.
That would be a lot of fun, and I've had some real duds on the show. I don't know, Jennifer, if you've had this happen too, but I have a very conversational way of talking, kind of like you guys do, and it's not very serious. It may hit intellectual at times, but it doesn't get too serious. And for example, Gina Bianchini, she was the CEO of Ning, mm-hmm. and I explained to her, in the moments before the show, this is a very, very conversational show. I swear, I'm not uptight. This is going to be really loose, and if you listen to that interview, maybe I'll shoot it to you guys so you can listen to just a couple minutes of it. But she is like a politician. She has every word so scripted, and I'm trying to get her to listen up, and I can't. She's like one of those guards in front of in the London with the no smiling and the.
Oh, how funny! Oh, that's great.
I'm sure you've had that happen too, but I'd rather have nice people on the show because I think people would enjoy it more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think more conversational is a lot better too, rather than a scripted, just.
You should have went straight Zach Galifianakis between two ferns on her and just absolutely.
Yes. I totally should have. Have you ever?
Okay, if you're not going to play, then this is what I'm going to do.
I should have said, have you ever thought of creating a company that's not going to die in 7 months? You have to watch it. Oh, my God. The Obama one was great. I really liked it.
Oh.
The Zach Galifianakis one.
I love it. He's so funny.
Anyway, so that's Lisa Cass. It's my little baby, and I'd love to have you guys on. It'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, consider us in, definitely.
Well, it sounds like I'll have extra drinks for that show, because that's what you want.
Yes. Yeah. I'm making a note now.
So many bad things in my life started with that sentence. But this won't be one of them.
Are you making the drinks, Chris?
No, I'm drinking coffee and ginger ale. Don't let me lie to you.
So I thought it would be fun to do the pick of the week. What do you think about that, you guys? Yeah. You up for it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So this is the section where we talk about an app or a service, just something that we think is cool that we want to share with our listeners. And I'll go first, if that's all right, because I don't know.
We know it's not a democracy.
All
it's
right.
okay.
I choose to go first. No, I'll go first. The first one that I would like to share actually is a website and service. It's an app as well called Just Unfollow. It's justunfollow.com. And this is a really helpful tool. It works well with Twitter, and it works with Instagram too, but I haven't used it with Instagram. But what happens is you sync this up with your Twitter account, and it tells you how many people that are not following you that you follow, how many fans that you have that are following you but you're not following them. It also tells you who unfollowed you, so you get a daily report of people that unfollow you, and you get a daily report of people that follow you. It also shows your inactive following, and it gives you ways to grow your follower list if you're into that. And I kind of like to just do it. I don't try to proactively grow. I grow my follower list when I find people that are interesting and I follow them. I don't do it the fake way or anything. But so I really like this service though, just to kind of see who. To me, it's interesting to see who unfollows me. It's just
yes, but is the inverse true? I have been trying to unfollow somebody for a long time. And every time I do it, they come back to me. They say, "How come you unfollowed me?" And they're all public about it. And I have to follow them again.
Well, you can mute them now.
But this person is unmutable.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! So they're publicly going.
I dated somebody like that.
Yeah, he's unmutable. Yeah, exactly. Things you can't unhear. But I do think that would be a great service if they would handle it the way maybe LinkedIn does, where you can opt out and be anonymous if you'd like, and therefore you lose the ability to see people as much. But again, you should have a choice. This is America.
No, I agree. Yeah, because you don't want it being broadcast when you unfollow someone. It's kind of.
Well, that's the only thing about just unfollow. Well, all of these. I use one called what is it called? It's called Find Unfollow, and it's the same thing. And if you're not careful, then you start. Like my Twitter will just be people broadcasting those stats. That's what kind of gets me.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't. Really
Sometimes.
When you
get a certain number of followers and interactions, and you take it seriously on Twitter or Instagram, I think, Jen, you almost have to have one of these apps because people will follow you, and then the etiquette demands if you don't follow them back, then they'll unfollow you.
Right.
And I like to see who's following me. I haven't really broadcast. I think I've only broadcast one time from this app, and that was just to get more services or something.
Yeah.
But. I do enjoy seeing who is following, and then I could really take a look at them and see if it's somebody I want to follow back. Because a lot of times, with Twitter being so busy, you just kind of miss it. You might miss the notification. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah. And who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
Sure.
So the pick that I made this week is in the most non-hyperbolic way changed my life, and it's a bank. It's an internet bank. It's called Simple. It's been in beta for a long time. You have to have an invite to get there, but if you know anything about my finances, you would know how ridiculous that actually is. So you just put your email up, and then after a week or two, you get an invite. But it's really reimagined, I think, what it is, I don't want to say my generation because I don't know what that is exactly, but, people on a certain level of the way they live their life through technology, what you want out of a bank. For instance, you don't have checkbooks. So they don't offer, you can't buy one, they don't have checkbooks. If I want to write a check, I would go on the website, put your name and address, how much money it is, press enter, and they send it to you, and you get it in 2 days. And that's unlimited, free. There's no fees if you overdraft or whatever, and hopefully you don't. But it's just, now they were just bought by a very large bank in Spain. But they, if you go to the app, the thing is, if you want to talk to someone, for instance, I can either go on and chat and email with someone and have this great conversation, and they're like you can tell that they've either been feeding them methamphetamine and rainbows, or it's very, they're so aggressively nice, but they really work. I've had them call me back like a week later and been like, I was just thinking, is everything cool with that? But beyond that, they've kind of blown up other kind of ways of traditional banking. I don't have any savings accounts anymore because what they allow me to do is I have this one pool of money or drop, and you can segment it out using goals. So I can create a goal for a wedding, for example, or a vacation, or a tattoo, and you put in how much money you want to start the goal with. You put in when you want to have the money, and then it breaks it down. And every day it takes $1.62 or whatever, and puts it in that goal. And you can have as many goals as you want. So, like, I can immediately, what I like to do is when I get paid, I know how much my gas is going to take for 2 weeks. So that's a goal, and it goes immediately, it funds that. And then when I go, swipe my card at the gas pump, I go on the app and I just say spend from the goal. So then the actual balance I see is called safe to spend. And that's what's actually, free, mad money. And everything else is segmented in these little goals. Now, however, it's your money. It's just a way of looking at it. Mm-hmm. So I still have an available balance of the whole pool. So I don't have to worry about having separate accounts, separate reporting for separate different kinds. Is it fluid? Is it not fluid? It's just right there. You can categorize every single expense very granularly. It maps it for you. And then you can run analytics that are free, and you can start to see all different kinds of things about your spending habits. So what's really cool about this is, a lot of these tools, the things that I'm saying, might be on, Check, which I also use, or they could be on check.me, or it could be on, a lot of the tried and true money managers. But that's all accessing information from your bank. You have to grant it all those things, services, into it and all that. You have to grant it in. This is the actual bank doing it. So I got rid of a whole layer of money management, and it's all contained right there. And it's free. The accounts are free. There's no fees. I really don't understand why just because people don't know about it.
I have a question for you.
Huh?
Okay, because I got an invitation to this, and I didn't take it up. Like, I signed up for it, I got the invitation, but then I didn't follow up with it and finish, doing it. And so there's no fee. There's no, if you use your ATM card at any ATM machine, is there a fee for that or no?
Okay, how that works, how they solve that problem, is they went outside of the banks, because the thing is they cannot charge you a fee, but Wachovia or whoever, Wells Fargo, that other banks can charge you a fee. So what they did is there's this network called All Points that are in all CVS and Walgreens, among others. Well, I don't know how it is in other parts of the country, but everywhere I go in this country, you always see CVS and Walgreens. I mean, they're ubiquitous. And so you just walk in, there's an All Points ATM, and Jen, it's free.
Nice.
Now they just took it out of, they could, and the only other way to get around that would be if they reimbursed the fee that the other bank. So they just plugged in with All Points, which has been, so I guess you would have to find it if you needed money at 3 a.m. You'd have to find it 24. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully you've planned that out a little better, but it's really cool. I can pay bills from it. I can send money to people. And another thing is, PayPal has been a thorn in my side for a long time. I think it is absolutely ridiculous. I have a business account with them, and so every time if I want to send my sister, like my niece has a fundraiser, so every fundraiser, I'm dead for $100 in that. I never even know what I get: donuts, wrapping paper. But I can't send her the money for that with PayPal because I don't want to pay them $2.80. I don't want to do it. So it irritates me. So what happened with this, my sister got a simple account, and this is one of the coolest things. You go and you can transfer money instantly. So if you have one, Jen, I could go on the site, transfer you $10, $50, whatever, and you have it right then.
That's
instant,
cool. That's
instant,
nice.
Yeah. with no fees.
Yeah, that's nice.
And so I think it's a great way to leverage the marketing too, because I personally I get my girlfriend one, my friends in other cities one. If we want to buy, I've got like 10 people accounts with them just because if we want to move money, it's so easy now.
That's awesome.
Because Venmo and I have all that stuff too, but it's all really irritating, and you have to cash out, and there's fees, and it's just it is simple. It's simplify my life, and they're other than their dated app UI where they're still using wood and leather and stuff like iOS 6, but I hate that design. The vocabulary, yeah, skeuomorphic. I just like, to me, it's like, oh, people are scared of technology, so we'll make it look like something old. I mean, I guess that's where they went with it. But the apps are brilliant. The website is brilliant. The company, I mean, is fantastic. I just can't say enough about it. Good. And I think that when people say like, I'm going to write a check. Like, even before I was at Simple, I was like, what is that? I mean, why would you do that? Because you're writing balance, like you're, in this book, and it just seemed, so I never even had a checkbook. I had like a checkbook when I was 18, and I blew that up with NSFs like most kids do. And so a lot of the ways they're going. Now, it's interesting. I'll just add this as the last point. My mother, who's the main person that I want on Simple, so that I can get money to her, she refuses to and she was born in 1941, so somebody that's better at math would know that. But, at that generation, these people are terrified of this. Mm-hmm. My mother is terrified of Simple. She refuses to do it because the thought of access to her money being in her phone or on her computer, she still goes on print. She goes to the branch and makes them print out her records because she won't allow me to sign her up for online banking. But the people in my generation on down, this is what it's going to be. And when you use it and you see a lot of when I go on these other bank sites, I'm like, what in the world? This is horrible design. Like, you're trying to sell me insurance, and what is this thing over here? Like, it's for a car wash or something. Like, I just want to know about my money. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's what it does. So right. Simple.com, and and
great pick.
That's it.
Nice, thank you. Great, that's a good pick, definitely. So I'm gonna go back and finish my application. Hopefully I probably have to reapply. So, but. And Lisa, do you have something you'd like to share?
Sure. I'm just finishing signing up for that thing because it sounds really cool. We see a lot of people using Square here, mm-hmm. And it always looks like it's a great idea, but of course it comes with its own fees and whatnot. And a few years ago, I remember a company called Revolution. It had several subsidiaries. One of them was Revolution Money, and it sounds a lot like this, but clearly they didn't get off the ground for whatever reason. So that was a really cool. Good.
I didn't hear about Revolution.
I will say, if any of you guys want an invitation right now, I have invitations. Any customer has a certain number of invitations you just send people, and you're automatically in right away. So if you want to wait till after the show, give me your email. I have no problem doing that.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how much more exciting you could get than that, than managing your money better and that kind of thing. But I had a couple of services that I heard about either recently or not so recently, and I'm still using them. I did mention SwiftKey as the app that made me change to Android. One day I would have laughed in your face, and the next day it's like I realized like SwiftKey is the other woman, and I got to go with her.
I love it too. It's awesome keyboard. It's the number one
paid app on the planet. I mean, and it's probably no mistake that Apple came out with something called Swift, mm-hmm. And they also came out with a keyboard thing that looks like SwiftKey. But anyways, I think it's called Fast clicks or something. What's it called? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I know what you're talking. I know what you mean though, but it's a keyword that has similar functionality to SwiftKey. But I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, it's QuickType. It's QuickType, which is exactly what SwiftKey means. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's that. So I'll give you a free and a paid one. The paid one is one I've been using for a long time. I don't know if you know about it. It's called Spokeo.
Great site. Yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, so Spokeo, it's a paid service. It's Spokeo, Spokeo. And if you have somebody's email address or their name or other, major information about them, you can enter that into the site, and it will bring back a social, economical, like the whole kit and caboodle about this person and where they live and who their parents are, and it's kind of psycho, but it's useful. The reason I got it was because our bank accounts were hacked.
Oh God!
And we had a suspicion of who it was, but all we had was an email address to go by. So I was able to track down, where the person was from and the IP address and that kind of thing. And I would think it would be useful if you're looking up, somebody in business that you're going to do business with. I think you can even do background checks like Ben Verified does. They have TV commercials, so more people will be familiar with them. In fact, Ben Verified has their free account lets you look up one person every month. So stalking on a budget.
So that's benverified.com?
Yeah, Ben Verified, BEEN.
Okay.
BEEN, yeah. Verified.
I think that the coolest thing about Spokeo is you can search by username.
Right.
Yeah,
as well
so cool.
as by name and email. So I search for myself. Now, I'm not sure how accurate it is. It says that I have an account on blackplanet.com.
Maybe it's somebody else.
And Cafe Mom. But it is completely accurate. It has everything that I am on.
I'm looking you up right now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Okay, so while you guys are playing with that, I'll go quickly with the other one so other people can talk. The other one is called Empowered, and you're going to hate me and you're going to hate Web 2.0 because the way it's spelled is IN as in Nancy, PWRD.
Ah, okay.
And it's called Empowered, and what it's for is finding influential content that you can share. It has some algorithms that rank your influence in different ways than the other services out there, like Clout or Peer Index or some other ones that I can't remember the name of right now. But it is an interesting content discovery platform. So if you do marketing or you're looking for research or you just want to find out who the expert in smart money is or whatever. Smart money. Did I just make that up?
Smart money.
Somebody coin that right now.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
It's
a thing.
I didn't coin smart money, and my joke isn't going to work. Okay, but that's the other one. It's Empowered. Okay, so that would be the last one I'd give you.
That's awesome. Now I'm on their site too, looking up some keywords and having some fun with it.
I wonder if this is how Signals found me last week.
No, I think they found you because we linked to them on the website.
Oh, yeah, that would make more sense.
Yeah. Great picks, definitely. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, I guess we should wrap up because my dog is going insane and the little parakeet is walking all over me at the moment. So they're telling me, hey, Mom, get off the show and let me out. Well, thank you so much for being with us. This has been fantastic, and I cannot wait to read your post or hear your show when you have Musicians Guild on, and I'm super stoked about Nameplace as well. So can't wait for you to come back on for that. And I also look forward to having us on your show. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And where would you recommend that people, if they wanted to connect with you online, where would you recommend that they go?
Lisa Cast pretty much says it all.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll get anybody to me.
Okay, and I'll link to that in the show notes.
Okay.
So that's lisacast.com. And Chris, how about you? Thank you for tonight. And where is the best place for people to connect with you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Flash Gagnon, Gagnon, or flashgagnon.com.
Okay. Thank you. And Andrew is out, but he dropped out, but I'll go ahead and plug his Twitter, which is twitter.com/thecobblecat. And for us, we're at getnerdywithit.com. We're on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, all the good spots. And please be sure to subscribe to us in iTunes or Stitcher Radio. We're also on iHeartRadio, Podomatic, SoundCloud, Spreaker, and we have our new Android and iOS apps. So please check them out and give them a shot. Thanks so much and have a good night.
Thank you for listening to Get Nerdy With It. Join us each week as we interview nerds talking about their passions.
Oh, nerds.
And be sure to visit us at getnerdywithit.com.